Every once in a while, I travel far and try out new things and new movies outside of the Hollywood bubble. Every once in a while, just like Hollywood films, I get to find a new way of presenting a story. Oldboy is just such a movie, taking the usual revenge plot and retelling it in a unique way. But is it any good? Let's find out. I'm Meffistoe. Like, share, and subscribe because this is my review of the movie Oldboy. The Korean and original Oldboy movie is an adaptation of a Japanese manga of the same name. Even though the Koreans and Japanese do differ in many ways, there is one thing in common, and that is the very deep-rooted class system. And when one put in such a box, it is very hard to step away from it. This is not the theme of the movie itself, but something that I've noticed over time while watching more and more of these Korean films. And it is the overarching theme of the popular Squid Games TV series. But when Oldboy was presented outside of the Korean sphere, it got high praise from people like Quentin Tarantino and even got an American adaptation starring Thanos and the Scarlet Witch. I mean, Josh Brolin and Elizabeth Olsen. Funnily enough though, I have watched the adaptation before the original, but I didn't know it was called Oldboy because it came on rather randomly when I was flipping through the channels when I did have cable back in the day. The story of Oldboy revolves around the life of Dae-soo, which is probably the only name I will pronounce correctly, so bear with me. After a night of heavy drinking, he finds himself awake at some sort of a prison, not knowing why he is there and for how long he will be there. The prison does not have bars and it resembles a hotel room, but you cannot get out. Dae-soo tries to keep himself busy, training, coming up with escape plans, and trying desperately to keep up with time. After several years, fate has it that he finally finds a way of escape, but then he wakes up from a gas-induced sleep outside. Driven to find why he was kept for so many years, Dae-soo ends up at a girl's apartment, a sushi chef that helped him out after he passed out, and as the two form a connection and both are trying to find answers to Dae-soo's questions. Pretty vague, I know, but trust me, it is worth it. Oldboy is categorized as an action thriller, and yes, it does have actiony moments in it, but don't let it fool you. It is a very deep and very dark revenge plot story that has a lot of twists and turns. Dae-soo, the main character, is facing not only the people who are manipulating him, but also his own personal demons from the past. A past that has been, in all manner of speaking, stricken from the record from the moment he was taken and imprisoned. On the surface level, the movie presents a twisted revenge story, but if you dig deeper and follow the different clues and try to uncover hidden messages and Easter eggs, you'll find those hidden meanings and know what the story is all about. From a metaphoric standpoint, the movie explores themes of depression, loneliness, heartbreak, and remorse, alongside asking questions like, what happens when you finally get to enact your revenge? Are you satisfied? What happens to you afterwards? Those are questions that come up through the movie and are lingering through the air all along until the very end of the movie. I will say though that the actiony bits were done spectacularly. One of the most famous, if not the famous scene from the movie is a continuous shot fight scene in a corridor that apparently took about 17 days to film. Not because of any fancy editing, but because the director Park Chan-wook wanted it to look great and be done just in one take and with no edits at all, which also ends up to be a sort of a comical moment at the end of it, but I'll let you watch the movie and discover that moment yourself. Cinematically, the movie isn't shot overly dark. There are moments that it feels that way, especially in Mr. Park's prison, but essentially, I didn't feel like the dark was a theme in the movie, other than the darkness in the characters. And the choice to go with classical music numbers throughout most of the movie kind of gave me that poetic feel to the journey we are experiencing. And I've said as much on our live show that it's one of those moments where the double meaning comes into play when we talk about the notion of poetic justice and how everyone gets what they deserve when it comes down to it.
Police, get what you deserve!
I loved Choi Min-sik acting as Dae-soo. He just kept a great face of determination, and whatever he was going through, you were going through with him just by the sheer power of his performance. To sum up, I will highly recommend you watch this movie and go into it as blind as possible. I made this review as ambiguous as possible because the main character of Dae-soo is going through a specific journey that seems very simple, but in a way it's much more complicated did, and my hopes are you will enjoy it as well. I am aware that if you are an English speaker, that you're not too accustomed on reading subtitles in movies, so you can find the dubbed version as well. I don't mind subtitles, but in this particular movie, they were going by so fast, I didn't want to miss any moments, so I actually watched the dubbed version first. But dubbing only serves to diminish the actor's performance, though it doesn't really ruin the story. And to me, the story is the main thing I'm focusing on, and my hopes are that you will give it a try regardless. I thank you for watching, and remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I'll see you on the next video.